Spring is here, which means the bugs are as well. In today's video, we're going to be comparing a dedicated bug remover, an all-purpose cleaner, and an alkaline pre-wash to see if you truly need a dedicated cleaner for cleaning off bugs off the front of your car. Welcome back to the channel. Let's jump into it. Well, I know for a lot of you, this is probably a very timely video as spring has just sprung and man, oh man, does it seem like the bugs are out. At least here in Colorado, it seems like I wash my car here at the shop, head home, drive about 20 miles or so, and then the front end is just completely covered in bugs. So I want to ensure we're using the right products, the safe products, to make sure that we're getting all those bugs off when we do go in and actually wash our car. Now, this has been a big topic I've really focused on here in 2026 of simplifying your detailing arsenal. I know for a lot of you, especially last year in my content, I started trying so many different products, and as a detailing professional and a enthusiast in the car care industry, I love having products for those small edge cases. Being a professional, I feel like I need to have those. If I need a little bit more punch here, a little bit more strength there, a little bit more cut, yada, yada, yada. But for a lot of you that are enthusiasts that wash your car on the weekends at home, that aren't professional detailers, I think simplifying your arsenal is a very, very good practice. Number one, you're not spending so much money on products you're using extremely infrequently. Number two, it just makes your detailing process simplified so that you can have one product that you can dilute and use it on a multitude of different areas instead of just buying a dedicated cleaner for one small specific use case. Now, this is going to be a very straightforward video. We've got a Tycon in this week. This is going through the full correction, polish, fully protecting this vehicle. So probably make a dedicated video with that as well, but we need to get it cleaned up beforehand. Now, this car has been covered in bugs. It's not horrendously bad, but definitely at the case of like, okay, we got to address this. I thought it'd be the perfect for this test. Now, I'm assuming this vehicle has absolutely zero protection on it. So this is going to be perfect because ceramic coated cars, honestly, 99% of the time, you can just blast off the front end and the bugs are 95% gone or so, but we're going to be able to really compare these to each other. So starting over here with 3D bug remover, this has been a product I've actually used quite a bit. Another great product out there for removing bugs is PNS Bug Off, both very heavily dilutable. This one we're going to be using at its maximum strength today at a 4:1 dilution ratio. Over here, we've got Koch Chemie Green Star. This is a universal all-purpose cleaner with a little bit more alkalinity in it than a lot of other all-purpose cleaners in general. This sits at a 12.5 pH undiluted. So when you dilute it down, yes, it does bring it down a little bit, not as much as you actually think. So this is quite a strong chemical, but we're still going to be using it at its maximum strength to make sure that we're getting these as close as possible to each other. So we're going to be using this at a 5:1. And then over here, Bilt Hamber Touchless, our alkaline pre-wash, we're actually going to be using this at a 2% panel impact ratio. So this, especially if you're using it in a foam cannon, is a little bit harder to dilute. It's kind of a set it once, do all the calculations for it and forget it. We're going to be using this in just a traditional IK sprayer. We're going to be using this in a press-all as well as the bug off in a press-all as well. And we're just going to spray down the front end of this vehicle in 3 different sections, let it dwell, rinse it off, and see which works best here. So really excited. Let's jump over here into the Tycon. Let's get some of those bugs removed. Quickly, before we actually move over to the Tycon here, let's quickly run through and talk about how much product is going into each bottle here. Now, for all of these, I'm going to make up a 500 milliliter solution. So for over here, for the bug remover, again, 4:1 dilution ratio, meaning that in 500 milliliters, 100 of that is your actual product here. For Green Star, we are using this at a 5:1 dilution ratio, its strongest strength here. So 83 milliliters of solution, 417 of water. Now, this is the crazy one over here, Bilt Hamber Touchless. Now, for your 2% panel impact ratio in a foam cannon, it's a little bit more complicated to actually calculate. That's why we'll be using it in an IK. So it's basically 2% of your solution is actually going on the car. So for 500 milliliters, This is all you use here, folks. 10 milliliters of solution. This stuff is so economical when you use it in an IK, not so economical when you use it in a foamer, because you have so much more water you're dealing with your actual pressure washer, especially if you've got a 3 gallon per minute AR635 up there. So let's get these filled up. Let's head over to the car. All right, guys, I'm gonna do my very best here to get the same amount of solution on here, leave them on roughly the same amount of time. So we're gonna use Koch Chemie Green Star on the driver's side, in the middle, our 3D bug remover, and then on the passenger side, our Bilt Hamber touchless. So I'm gonna try and use the body lines to my advantage here, and we're just gonna douse this puppy down with all of our solutions. And again, I'm gonna try and get them as even as humanly possible. So I'm probably gonna use a little bit more solution than I traditionally would on here. We'll go down to the plastics. I just wanna get a good dwell all over the surface. All right, that's looking pretty good there. Let me pop on this side with our bug remover. So one thing I can already tell you, the bug remover definitely still smells quite a bit stronger. It's kind of making me cough a little bit, to be totally honest. That's looking pretty good. We also have the windshield where we can do this test as well. Then let's come over here with our Bilt Hamber touchless on our IK. Sprays out quite a bit more solution, quite a bit quicker. And I think that's pretty even. So we're gonna let this sit, let it dwell, and make sure these don't completely dry on the surface of the vehicle, but we'll see how well they clean. All right, guys, so let's take a little bit closer look here. So you can definitely tell the Bilt Hamber touchless starting to really break down some of those bugs, not dripping them off the surface quite yet. Over here in the middle, again, we've got our actual bug remover. Same thing going on there. Look at that bug right there. Yeah, it's definitely eating up all that. Look at how that's softening all of that. It'll be pretty interesting to rinse this off. And then, of course, we've got the Koch Chemie Green Star. Also doing the same exact thing there, really softening up these bugs, looking pretty darn nice. So what I will do with this is I'll let these sit until I think it's no longer safe to do so. You never want to let these products fully dry on the surface of your vehicle. Also need to be careful with all three of these, using them in sunlight and using it on a hot vehicle. This is ideal in the shop here. It's climate controlled in here, no sunshine. The paint is cool to the touch here, so we'll be good with that. I'm going to use a pressure washer with this. I know with these tests, especially when it comes to pre-washes, everybody wants me to rinse it with a hose. Guys, if you're washing your car, you're not using a frickin' hose to do that. Use your pressure washer, use it how it's intended to be used. I understand that that showcases a little bit more of the strength of the product, but nobody actually uses it like that, so why would we do that? So I'm gonna let this sit for a little bit longer, then we'll rinse Green Star, we'll rinse our center one, and then finally our Bilt Hamber touchless to see if there's any sort of difference. All right, I'm gonna try and do this as evenly as possible and hopefully rinse it for you guys as good as possible, holding all this one-handed. So let's start on Koch Chemie Green Star. Wow, so that's looking pretty darn good. Still need to do some rinsing up top. Really focusing down here though. Looking pretty good. Can't tell if that's a big old rock chip there or an actual bug. Not exactly sure, but pretty impressive results so far. All right, let's come back in here to our 3D bug remover. So I gotta say there's more bugs on the bug remover part. I mean, I'll give that another rinse, but you can clearly see over here with Koch Chemie, I guess this is, you know, directly on the front, so not 100% perfect. I'll give these all a final rinse once I get touchless over here rinsed off. But man, that's pretty intriguing here. guys, I am pretty surprised here. So we've got Bilt Hamber touchless over here. You can clearly still see some bugs, definitely in this particular area. Again, I didn't get super close. I tried to do them as fair as possible. And again, over here, we've got our 3D. And then over here, we've got Koch Chemie Green Star. I don't know about you guys, but I would say Green Star definitely looks the best so far that we've seen between these three here. Pretty interesting. And again, remember, this is pretty high alkaline cleaner, 12.5 pH on this. Maybe I'll insert what the pH on both of these are tested at their specific dilution ratio. That's pretty interesting. And I'll include this as well. So I'll put it up on the screen here of the pH of each of these different ones. Pretty interesting. I'm gonna give this one last final rinse, go a little bit closer in, see if we can get off some more of those bugs. We'll dry it off and compare the three. All right, guys, so I've used my blow car dryer here to just dry off the front end of the car. The whole concept behind that, instead of touching it with a towel, picking up anything else on there, I want to let the pressure washer do what it's doing, let the chemicals do what they're doing. So again, I gave it another thorough rinse. I got reasonably close to the vehicle to try and hopefully pick up some of those bugs off of there and rinse them away. Not anything that would be considered unsafe, but reasonably close here. So I first off want to look at the Koch Chemie Green Star area. And I gotta say, I'm almost most impressed by this with the lack of bugs in general that were on here. Now, again, hopefully we tried to get them as close as possible to the amount of solution, how long they sat on here. We're within, a couple of seconds. But again, using this at its strongest dilution, really impressive results. What you'll see here, you do still have bug stains. These are actually etched into the clear. So this is actually a very used, very depreciated Tycon. My customer essentially got this half off. So now we're doing all of the correction, polishing, and coating all of it to give it a new lease on life, get all the mess and dirtiness off this thing. And he's got a sick car here for a fraction of the price from new. Moving on to 3D bug remover here. And again, still noticing at the front end of this, still a couple little bugs. I wouldn't say it's bad at all, but honestly, looking at this versus the Koch Chemie, I see little, if any, difference whatsoever. And yeah, that's pretty impressive. I will say there are more bug stains here in the center. If you're just looking directly at the bumper, definitely in there. That's literally probably because this is the front end where this is more curved. So it's shooting the bugs off the side and naturally gonna have a little bit more heat and those bugs sitting there etching. Bilt Hamber touchless over here, our alkaline pre-wash, also looking really nice. And again, just want you to think back of how little solution you are actually using on this. This is not a product I like using in a foam cannon. I actually use Primus 2.0. Another great alkaline pre-wash. It's a little bit more economical to use in a foamer. This is one that I actually just use in an IK sprayer like this. And I gotta say, guys, it did a very, very good job. There's still a couple little bugs here and there, but honestly, no distinct drastic difference. Like kind of what I think most people would expect is the bug remover would be like perfect, and then the other two might be slightly worse. In fact, I don't really see that. Yes, we do have some big bug etchings on here. Those will need, paint correction, proper polishing on there. That's not going to be something that chemicals are going to remove. We're going to have to abrade down the clear coat, physically remove that because those are definitely etched in there. But I think this highlights the case and the point that I've been making all year that not using a dedicated product actually can be very beneficial, right? So you don't need to go purchase another SKU of, in this case, a bug remover, when if you have an all-purpose cleaner or utilize a pre-wash, you can definitely just use that. And again, this would be even more emphasized on a car that is properly coated and protected. I mean, guys, you're just gonna foam down the car with a pre-wash and then rinse it off and you're pretty much 95% clean. Do your contact wash, you're good to go. I'm also going to have a video coming up probably after this of how often you should use a pre-wash. I think that'll be an interesting topic. And also remember, on something like Bilt Hamber Touchless, you can use this at less strength. All of these you can use at less strength, but even going down to like a 1% PIR, it's impressive how well this stuff works. So, that'd be using 5 milliliters in a 500 milliliter canister. It is super impressive stuff. So let me know what you guys think. What's been your experience with bugs? Do you still see the same thing that I'm seeing? Because this is what I've been doing for quite a long period of time, actually almost totally removing bug removers and either just using an all-purpose cleaner or a great, fantastic pre-wash. And also a good helpful tip, because Koch Chemie Green Star cleans so well, on cars like this that have no protection, often what I'll do is kind of pre-treat the front bumper with that all-purpose cleaner, i.e. Green Star there, then foam down the car with my alkaline pre-wash, Primus 2.0. Works really, really nice. But all impressive results here. Again, I don't really think you need a dedicated bug remover. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you in another one soon. Bye-bye.